Well, Democrats, judges who want to usurp the authority and power of the United States president, they're all after President Trump. I want to go through this and some of the biggest stories in the news with my special guest, Mike Lindell. Mike, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I want to get into why you are in Colorado a little bit later in this show. I don't think anybody in my audience who voted for Trump isn't going to know who Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, is. So you've got a face, you've got a voice that many MAGA people know and respect. So I appreciate you coming on. Democrat judges are trying to block President Trump at every turn. Republicans are now feeling a lot of heat from pressure campaigns to actually codify the work Elon Musk and his geniuses at DOGE have discovered. Are Republicans going to be able to hold the majority in 2026? What are your thoughts?
That's a good question for me. I promised the president that these next 4 years would not be in vain. And one of the biggest things is our election platform. So what my teams are working on to get us to secure our elections with paper ballots hand counted like 132 other countries have. So I believe that that's a key part of having secure elections. And otherwise, there'd be no reason whatsoever that we wouldn't hold both and would gain. You know, people are coming into this bucket of common sense. It doesn't seem to be, you would have thought when Donald Trump got in that this nonsense would all go away, right? And we would just start getting stuff done like he did in his first term. But you have blockers and blockers and blockers. And for me, that's what's blocked me the most has been uniparty Republicans. I call it the uniparty. I've been blocked more by them than even Democrats. But right now, you see it's the judges. I'm here for a case in Colorado, but it seems that these judges all over the country. I believe this is an evil good thing. We're in a place in time where it's of biblical proportions and historical, and you have judges and media. I mean, it comes from every single attack angle known to man. When I sit with the president, I remember sitting with him last summer and he said, "Sir," I said, all these bad things going on are helping you. Everyone's coming into this bucket of common sense." And then I said, and also people are looking to God. A nation that turned its back on God. And I said, and so all these things are doing good. People look to God when things are going bad and not necessarily good. And he looked at me, he says, "Well, Mike," he said, "I don't know if we can get it all fixed in 4 years. They're destroying our country." And I said, "Sir, with God, all things are possible. And him working through you, you'll get it done faster and better than anyone." Well, he's and he is doing that. He's picked for such a time as this. I think everybody knows that. But to have to continue to fight every day for things that are so common sense. I can go I can go anywhere. I'm in the heart of Denver. I can be in the heart of Chicago. I can be in Minneapolis. The people on the ground, I'm talking people, they all see this nonsense. Donald Trump is a great uniter, not a divider. What's dividing is these, judges and what we say, the media, whatever the narrative is that they want to push through, that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, Mike, because we were told that Joe Biden would be the great uniter, and he was the great divider. Now the media says Trump's going to be the great divider, but the people are coming together. They're coming back to God. They're coming back to common sense. I love that, this bucket of common sense.
Right.
And right now, we've got to get these Republicans, like you said, sometimes they're the hardest ones to deal with. And he's been dealing with rhinos, but now I believe he's dealing with minos, MAGA in name only. They're raising money, trying to get reelected, but then they're not pushing through the MAGA agenda. I think it could come back to bite them in the butt.
Absolutely. And there were so many that came back on board going, "Oh, wait, Donald Trump's going to win. Oh, I'm back on board. I'm back on board." I mean, you know, I went through it for 4 years when I was to secure our elections, and I would go into a red state, and whether it be Alabama, Arkansas, Texas, Missouri, South Dakota, and I would get pushback on things that were so common sense. Like, you know, I'll give an example in Arkansas. In Arkansas, you can vote in the county to go to paper ballots hand counted, and they did that. Claiborne County, Arkansas, voted to do that. And then 2 months later, well, by the way, all the other counties were going to follow suit. 2 months later, they shoved through a Republican shoves a thing through the Senate in Arkansas, and it says, if here's what the bill said: if you're a county in Arkansas and you go to paper ballots, we're defunding your county. Now that doesn't make sense, okay? So everybody backed off, and I'm going, this is like a deviation. I go, well, you know, why would you not want that? It's what the people want. I think the people, what these last 4 years have opened people's eyes to common sense and going, why would we do that? You know, we don't. Why would anybody want? You know, that it was so far craziness where, you know, men and women's sports and transgenders running around schools or transvestites, and I mean this people, all people. So, you know, I think the good or the bad stuff did just as much as the good stuff opening people's eyes.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You know, after the 2020 election, I was so heartbroken because I knew that there was something wrong with that election. And I hope that we'll get to the bottom of that. I did want to get your thoughts. So, Fox News ends up settling this lawsuit. Now we're finding out that may have had more to do with Rupert Murdoch not being able to be in these decisions than it had to do with the truth. And
Right.
then now they're in this appeals process. Since then, we've also had the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, tell President Trump on live TV, hey, there's all these reports that there's shenanigans with the voting machines. They've
Yeah.
been sitting on this. National intelligence has been sitting on this. What were your thoughts when you heard Tulsi Gabbard say that?
Well, they were saying, oh, you know, social media went wild. Mike Lindell's been vindicated. Mike Lindell's been vindicated. You know what? You know what? I'm looking forward to the day we don't have any voting machines like 132 other countries in the world. I was very happy to hear that they're all looking into it. And but I'll tell you, you talk about lawfare, and so on February 4th of 2021. Fox News got sued by Smartmatic. That started lawfare in our country that hadn't been done since the 1700s. Okay. When they did this, they sued them and another machine company, and their affiliates sued over 100 people and media platforms. Okay. And they went, you know, just to silence people. Up to right now, every one of them so far that have been, there's been, that none of them have went to trial yet. They've all either settled because their insurance companies said settle, or they were in fear of getting attacked every day like I do every day, or getting, you know, just keep, you better, you know, trying to silence the media. Well, there was only one company that was sued, that didn't have anything to do with anything, and that was My Pillow, my employee-owned company, My Pillow. So that's actually what I'm in Colorado for. We are now the first ones to go to jury trial, which is this coming Monday, June 2nd, everybody. I've been here for a week. I'm losing my voice. I'm talking about lawyers. It's going to be a 2-week trial. And I've been looking for it for 4.5 years. You know, I will never stop. I want to get to it's, and it's not about, for me, I just need everybody to know this. This isn't a Democrat or Republican thing. This is a people thing. 132 countries have banned electronic voting machines for a reason. You know, there's shenanigans in every election, but when one person can press a button or whatever it would be with a computer, you got big problems. And other countries know this. And we have the worst election platforms in the world. If you have a problem, been the big problem. Let's say you had a problem with your bank account balance, and you said, "Hey, this doesn't match." You go to your bank, and what's the first thing they do? They look into the computer and open it up and say, "Where's the problem?" You know, when you get these deviations that happened in 2020 and 2022, many different elections, I've looked into thousands, and you see a deviation that doesn't make sense. When your baseline is here, you look into it and you find out what happened. You need a different input to get a different output. And this is these machine companies and these computer, they have not been transparent. And it'd be like this if someone said, hey, all the pillow companies have rocks and knives in their pillows. You know what my pillow would do? They go, no, we don't. We have beautiful patented fill. Come and look. But they didn't do that. They go, you can't see inside. You can't see. Well, instead, they sue people. If someone said that about me, I'd say, look, you have nothing to hide. Look at it. And that's what lawfare is, everybody. And it's really put tens of $millions into this country to help, and then they tried to just keep silence me. I had this left wing reporter call me this last night, and he said, "Well, don't you wish you would have never got involved? Now that you're broke, you've spent $40 million." I said, absolutely not. I've lived the American dream, going from a crack addict to we're building this company. And I don't want to see there's only place in the world you could do that would be here with our freedoms. And we have to preserve them. And the way to preserve them is secure our elections. It's that simple. I can't unsee what I know, and you know, it just cleared my eyes. The president knows this. What has the president been saying? We need to go to paper ballots, hand counted, same day voting, no mail-in voting. Over 100 countries have banned mail-in voting. This is a big deal. This is everything you happen. You go, gee, why does do you get to after a midterm? How did this Republican, I'll use them for an example, get to be to the general election? Because you don't know what's going on in those primaries. You know, when I did my work, I worked with both parties. I just looked for deviations, and I'm telling you, like I'll give an example in Georgia, this Democrat, nice lady, this Michelle, and three Democrats running, and her and her husband and her daughter, they got 0 votes in her own precinct. Well, you know, they should have gave her at least 3, then she couldn't have even questioned it. But they gave her 0. So they had to open up what? They had to open up the machines and computers and say, oh, it was a programming error. Why are you programming our elections? Come on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen that. Elections overturned, mules doing ballot harvesting, being paid. There's so much. One thing I thought was interesting was I can't remember who the Democrat was, but during the Pam Bondi confirmation, they said to her, will you right here and now declare that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election and that there was nothing in it? And she said, how can I? I haven't looked at any of the evidence, but I've seen enough out of Pennsylvania that I've got a lot of questions. Everyone loves the thrill of playing for a big prize. And in crypto, prizes don't get any bigger than the OG, Bitcoin. Play Crypto.com's Freedom Jackpot from today to July 4th, and you might just land a Bitcoin payout. Each time you trade $50 worth of any token in the Crypto.com app, you earn a chance to win the jackpot. The more trades you make, the higher your chances of winning. Easy, right? And with over 400 coins to choose from in the app, you won't run out of plays anytime soon. Trades made through the app's crypto basket and recurring buy features count the same. So don't worry if you're diversifying your portfolio or just want to schedule some purchases. Now, the Freedom Jackpot's available across the US, so everyone's got a shot at winning 1 Bitcoin. Sign up through Crypto.com through my link below, and you'll automatically join this limited time event. Don't lose this opportunity to get into crypto with a huge bonus. Isn't that awesome? Crypto.com, they sponsor me. They sponsor Rumble. They sponsor the Lakers. They sponsor UFC with Dana White and all of the big fighters. So this is a really huge opportunity to potentially win a Bitcoin, which right now is trading at over $93,000 a coin. Boy, they did not like hearing her say that.
No, they did not. And what she's talking about there is everybody, Pennsylvania turned in their electors with more votes than voters. Now, this
Yeah.
happened in other places in the United States, but how do you have more votes than voters? I mean, that's impossible. So, but they went ahead and said, well, you know what? We're going to turn them in anyway. There were so many deviations like that that I like her answer is, well, she's never seen the evidence. How about this one, everybody? You have Obama, both times he ran, he got about 65, 66 million votes. Hillary Clinton got about 66 million. Biden 81 million, Kamala Harris about 67 million. Where are these other 15 million? You think Democrats just ran out of the, I mean, these are what I looked into, deviations that don't make sense. And here, this was, and I went to most of the Secretary of States, but like I said, I was blocked at every turn where I just had questions. And one of them, I went to Alabama on the summer of 2021, and I went to meet John Merrill. He's the Republican Secretary of State. And I bought all the voter rolls in the United States. Alabama, I paid $40,000 for all the voter rolls. This is stuff that comes right out of the machines. This is who vote. This is all their data that came out of the machine. So I paid for this. And I get in to meet John. And I go, John, do you realize that in Alabama in this last election, 4,662 people voted here that were over 110 years old? And he looked at me and he says, well, Mike, we live pretty good here in Alabama. And
Yeah.
I'm going, come on, John, this guy's 180 years old. And it never got looked into. They would not, they just, and you got to ask, I just kept saying, why? Why? You guys explain these numbers, just explain it. We're here in Colorado, and one of the things we all have as citizens is we have, under the Freedom of Information Act, they're called cast vote records. Anybody can request them, and we requested them for the 2020 election. You have to hold them for 22 months by federal law, and Colorado law by 25 months. And here in Colorado, they deleted the 2020 election, called it the trusted build in the spring of 21. And that became a very big deal. That was also my evidence being sued by the machine company. You can't delete that evidence. It's called spoliation. And anyway, there were some counties in Colorado, Arapahoe. This is 2 weeks ago now, everybody, just to show you that this nonsense just doesn't seem to end. Arapahoe County, they looked back and they had the cast vote records, or the records from the 2020 election, posted on their. The clerk had actually did the right thing, took the download in, and the Democrat and the Republican, it matched exactly. It was done with a computer pattern. Well, then our team caught that. So what they did, they went and put up another one. They made one up that was random, like it should look, and they were both up there at the same time. They made a mistake if I had taken the other one down. The stuff is, it's like, okay, that should be international news going, hey, there's problems with our machines. And I'd say to people, even if there was nothing malicious, you guys, a mistake, if you don't look into the mistakes or something on your bank balance, are you just gonna, hey, well, that's all you get? I'm sorry, we're not gonna look. This is where it's at, and this is why you have lawfare, because the vehicle that they use to do these things is computers. And Elon Musk said last June, Elon Musk came out and said, computers should not be used in elections. It's too dangerous. He said that we cannot use computers. We cannot use voting machines that are online or that are computers. He said that, and then you couple that with Tulsi Gabbard, and then this stuff just kind of gets lost in the news. This should be the top of the news on Fox News. They should be going, hey, here it is, everybody, instead. But we're in a good place, though, they guys. When they tried to kill our voice on January 7th and 8th of 2021, I always say this, 1.2 million Americans were deplatformed if they spoke out about the elections or the vaccine, or for that matter, Jesus Christ. And they put in a big group, and they were deplatformed off all the social media sites. And then the other people that were too afraid to talk, to even speak out because of January 6th. But our voice then went down to a little tiny dot. If everybody remembers, Parler got wiped off the face of the earth, and So our voice was down to a little tiny dot. Like when I was growing up with a black and white TV as kids, we would turn it off. It would go so small and we'd turn it back on and come back to life. Well, that little dot was our voice, and our voice did not go out. And where we're at now, 4.5 or what was it, 4 years later, where we're at now is our voice has expanded beyond anything you could ever imagine. You have X now that was instead of Jack Dorsey's Twitter, you have Elon's X. You have Facebook, even he's kind of changed a little bit, but you have Truth Social, you have My Lindell TV, you have Getter, you have Gab, you have Vocal, you have Telegram, you have all these platforms. And then you have Stephen, podcasters that are out there everywhere, like your great podcast. This is where our voices spread. People are getting their information from other sources other than just your CNNs and Foxes of the world. They're getting, and they're not. It's harder and harder for them to suppress the information. People know now about these judges doing this. And they also know that the stuff that people are asking why, and people sitting at their tables nowadays, where you're going back in the day 4 or 5 years ago, you're sitting having these arguments about whether a liberal and a conservative, or a Democrat, Republican, or an anti-Trumper and a Trumper. These arguments now are fewer than far between, because they are fewer and far between. I've watched people get united, even as families, of course, unless they're really deranged and hate Trump that bad they can't get past the brainwashing. But I think it's really been a great uniting, and a part of that is because our media has expanded and where people are hearing it, not just getting brainwashed on. When you go back in time to Facebook, and in Facebook, you're getting only one narrative there, because we would cover up anything that got put out. Information I put out, you know what it said? Contains nudity and porn. This was the Facebook fact checkers putting that on there. I go, no, this is evidence, people.
I know your pillows are good looking, but I wouldn't call them nudity or porn.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Well,
I can't believe.
everyone probably remembers this trial that I'm going to on Monday. I had a really bad deposition where that was for this trial. The deposition was about a year ago, and the attorney called my pillows lumpy, and he attacked my employees. I'm going, you know what? I took offense to that. I go, what does this have to do? Why are you attacking me? You're trying to get me very upset, which I did. And then they got me upset. I called him a name, and he put that out publicly. They leaked it out of the deposition. It was, number one story in the news. The pillow guy goes crazy because they call his pillows lumpy. I said, no, they're beautiful.
Well, I've been using your pillows for about 5 years now, and they're wonderful. Let me ask you this, and then I want to get you out so that we can save your voice for this upcoming trial. Representative Jasmine Crockett of the Democrat Party, she is now openly saying, if we get Congress back, we're going to impeach Trump. We're going to go after his family. We're going to investigate him every way under the sun that we can think of. This is scary that they're admitting this out loud. I mean, I'm grateful that they are, but this is one of my big worries is, number one, we're not going to get the Trump agenda for 4 years. And two, they're going to make this man's life a living hell a second time.
Right. Well, this is why everybody, Steve Bannon called my trial here the trial of the century. He called it that 2 days ago. Why is it so important? It's just a lawfare case of defamation. No, this will be the gateway to securing our elections. I really believe that. We have to secure our elections by this fall, and maybe we have till spring. They have to be secure before the primaries. Everybody, I have teams working in every state, over 300,000 people, most of them volunteers out there. They've been working, and even from the top down, the president. We have to get to paper ballots, hand counted, some accountability of these elections, down tickets everywhere, and I really believe that this will get the media exposure and open that door, because we're going to win. These are the most frivolous cases known to man. If I can't, as a citizen, question my elections, and say, hey, could somebody look at this like like Tulsi Gabbard saying, or Pam Bondi saying, I haven't seen it, but I have seen some deviations. Show me the deviations. All the media out there, none of the cases, everybody's lost. And I'm going to tell you one thing, everybody, no case of evidence. And I'm not talking evidence of an election flip. I'm talking about computer manipulation. Not one case has ever went all the way to trial other than this one, where they're going to rule based on merit, saying, hey, explain this deviation. Explain how this lady got 0 votes in her own precinct. And don't just say a computer error, or, you better tell me something, or a programming error. So this is where we're at, and this is where I encourage you all to help pray. We've got this case is so important. That just what you're just saying, Stephen, is we have to win this, because I believe the dominoes will fall. Going, hey, these other cases that are out there, that by the way, they're going to stretch them out another 3 years. I'm going to tell everybody about a case in Georgia. This case went on 7 years. It was Brad Rassenberg. It was called the curling case. It was with these machines, and it went on for 7 years. Now, the year ago, January, or a year and a half ago, it was in the fall of 23. This Obama appointed judge, and she had been on this case for 6 years. She ruled the case would go forward, and she said, if you question the machines, you're not a conspiracy theorist. She actually said this in her ruling. You're not a conspiracy theorist. So I celebrate. I took my tinfoil hat off. I go, wow, this is great. And then in January, this is a year ago, January, a guy, he's a cyber expert. He is on the left. But he actually went in. Remember, these are Democrats and Republicans were the plaintiffs. Okay, started out it was Democrat citizens. Well, then Halderman, this expert, hacked in with a ballpoint pen in front of the judge and flipped the whole election in 5 minutes. Now, when we did that, you know what I said? I said, because it didn't get big national media exposure, right? It should have been worldwide, going, hey, we got a problem with these computers. And anyway, the judge then was trapped. And I said this, she's trapped. She's not going to rule to get rid of these machines like she had to rule that they were defect, whatever it was, by the 2024 election. So here went the 2024 election. I was right. Just a month or so ago, everybody, you know what she did? She threw out the case after 7 years on standing, because they can do that. It gives the judge to weigh out, because she might not be a bad judge, but she's in fear. She's in fear. We have to. Do you want to be the first judge to secure our elections? One judge in Argentina 2 years ago said, you know what? I see problems with the machines. I want to go to paper ballot. And she was brave, and she did it. Argentina's flipped over in 4 months, everybody. They beat the record of the Netherlands, all went to paper, and they freed their country. This country is 68% red if we have fair elections. That's where the fear is out there. Like I said, who's going to fact check me? That's what we've got with our studies. This isn't craziness. A nation had turned its back on God, and we've all got to continue praying. But they everybody, this is something everybody can agree on. I went on the podcast called The Young Turks, far left wing media, and both him and I agreed. Why wouldn't we want paper ballots? Why wouldn't we want secure election? Everybody should agree on that. The only reason that you want is either you got elected that way, or somebody way up above is using it as a tool to take our country without firing a shot. And this is where, the deviation of the 2020 election, which is the most important election in history, everybody, because it opened up all these problems. Or we would all went to bed that night if they'd have predicted right and said, oh, darn it, we brought our kids up, we took God out of our schools, and we're just doomed. Everybody likes this craziness of men and women's sports. That wasn't the case, everybody. That was what the media was telling us. They were lying and still lie. The real reality is we are a God-fearing country, and God has given us grace for such a time as this. And we need to pray right now that these elections are secure, because if they are, and everybody does the right thing, you have everything you need to know. There is no reason to lose the House or the Senate in a normal world, because you're going, hey, look at the good things getting done. But if you don't hear about the good things getting done because you're too busy watching um, CNN or still being brainwashed, or MSNBC, or these attacks, or even Fox News. I hate to say it. Fox News will sit there and only put out, I call them weather channels that won't report the big things like hurricanes or tornadoes. They're not gonna, get down to what's the problem. But they, I just think we've all got, this case, and I'm not just saying it because it's on the first case to go to trial. It's a blessing. It's happening right now because we still have time to secure our elections and all this to come out. When Pam Bondi said, I haven't seen it yet. Well, you know what? She needs to see it all now, like Elon seen it last summer. He said, we can't have this.
Yeah.
I mean, with our most important thing, everybody comes from your elections. When you sit there and go, when you have a president in there that had whatever dementia, whatever he had, you never heard me bashing him because for me, I looked at it as being sad. I'm going, the evil behind that had him in there like a puppet. That's what we're after. This uniparty evil that's out there, or whatever's going on. And we've got to preserve um, um, the American dream, and we've got to also, I'll tell you one more thing, Stephen, if I got a second.
Yeah.
One of the things in this case too, everybody, is the guy that's specific to this case. He made a deal with Newsmax back in April of 21, and part of the deal was, I didn't even know who this guy was, and part of the deal was Mike Lindell could not come on anymore to promote and say what My Pillow's been doing. I can do commercials, but I can't go on there and say, hey, My Pillow gave pillows to the hurricane victims or the fires or the flood victims. I used to do that all the time, or hiring veterans or ex-addicts, like Mike was an ex-cocaine or crack cocaine addict. All these things that the media would have me on to do because, and then all of a sudden now, because the deal they made, we don't want him on there because people might think, hey, he's fighting for our elections. Well, that part right there cost My Pillow $20 million over the last 4 years. It was to suppress. And that's been, to me, their biggest. It's almost like, you talk about conspiracy theories. It's like, let's silence everything out there, and that there's no evidence. There's no evidence. The evidence isn't flipped elections. The evidence is secure elections, and that's what I've been fighting for, and I will never stop fighting for that. When they asked me yesterday, are you sorry you ever did this now that you're broken? And I said, no. I said, just like I told everybody 2 years ago on Jimmy Kimmel, I said, he goes, Mike, if your friend Donald Trump was selected, like you say Biden was, would you still be sounding the alarm? I said, yes, I would. Well, you see, Donald Trump is in that beautiful White House. And every day since the election, I've been fighting 18 hours a day to get secure for these midterms that will be coming up. And I think everybody can see how important it is. But you just named it, Stephen. We are at a critical time in history, everybody, the most critical time, and God has given us grace for such a time as this, and everybody's got to do their part, and but I have a lot of faith. I wake up every day, my faith in God and the people out there. I can go anywhere in this country, Stephen. They don't come up to me. It used to be, Mike, I love your pillows, or Mike, boy, I read your book. I helped my son get out of addiction. And now it's, hey, don't stop. Thank you for helping save our country, because everything comes from our elections. It doesn't matter. We've all learned that. We've all learned that. Everybody knows the fear. We wouldn't have had this fear. You go back in time, you lose the House or the Senate. It's a different kind of fear now. Not that things wouldn't get done. It could be it, everybody. That could be it forever. You think that the evil's not regrouping over here? I'm fighting them every day. That's why this case is what Steve Bannon called the case, or he said the trial of the century. That's what he called it. He called it that this morning. How important it is for this country. Remember, this is about being able to speak out. It's also about the gateway to get to where we need to get to with our elections. So And there's my sales pitch. If any of you want to help, LindellLegalFund.com. We could really use it. My company, these are employee-owned company, and they sit and worry every day about being attacked. And it's a shame. They've done nothing. It's every walks of life of my employees. You think they wanted to be out there going around as the company's getting attacked and canceled by every store while I'm out talking about our securing our elections? No, they would, but you know what? They've all gotten behind it because they've all learned over the 4 years what if we don't have secure elections, what can happen.
Mike, repeat the name of that website where people can support you one more time.
Yeah, it's LindellLegalFund.com. It's not tax deductible, everybody. I don't have time to. I'm already being attacked for in Minnesota by Keith Ellison, my Lindell Recovery Network. So this is just very simple. It's LindellLegalFund.com, and also you can go there and learn everything we're going to post every day about the trial, what's going on, or you can go to any social media site. And go find me. I got millions of followers on all of them, and just reshare that first thing. If you can't afford to do anything, reshare my pinned post, because that's going to get the word out too and get us the help we need. And then the other thing is, if you want to keep up on what's going on in the trial, I have LindellTV.com and LindellTV.com, where we're gonna have reported here every day, because you know what they're gonna do, Stephen? I don't think they're gonna show up for this when they know what could happen. I don't think the media is going to show up. It's going to be one of those things. How do you silence Mike Lindell? If you want to silence him, you just don't even talk about him at all. You just go silent. They've done that to me too many times, because I have welcomed the attacks, because that's the only way I could get the word out. But they're kind of on to me a little bit.
Well, hey, creativity, that's your entrepreneur brain. I wish you luck. Elon Musk gets a lot of praise for what he's done, but you have done a lot for our country. So I just want to thank you on behalf of my viewers. Thank you for that. I'm going to put those direct links, and that's also good to know that people can follow the trial and see what's going on. So I want to make sure to put that link down below as well. Mike, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to put that link, your Twitter, LindellTV.com, mypillow.com, all of that. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll have you on after the trial to talk again.
We're going to win, everybody, with your help. God bless you, Stephen. Thank you.
Thank you.